So growing up, when I was a teenager, there was this impetus because there was no like online active conversations you could have with when you're playing your video games. I had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and all those things, but like I'm just playing with against the computer. So you wanted to get out of the house instead of hanging out with your parents, and so but when my brother, who's 16 years younger than me, and all my cousins around his age, they had whatever it was, a Call of Duty or yeah, I think it was COD, where everyone was just always in their basement talking to each other, and that's when everyone was. So there was no real reason to go out and hang with your friends. They're always right here in your headphones. So, do you have any idea? Like, is these one of the main factors that's driving this epidemic of loneliness in teenage boys, or is there still like a collection of items?
There's a collection of items. I think, yeah, loneliness and aloneness are also two things to kind of prize apart. But
Hmm.
technology is, a, like most things, a tension paradox is that for a lot of the boys I talked to, video games were both an isolating thing, but also some of them had the only people in their lives that they've ever opened up to emotionally were guys that they played with online. Some of these people that they've never met in real life, but
Right.
they've opened up to people across the world that they played the same video games with. So it can be both a connecting and an isolating thing, and sometimes both at the same time for the same people. So I
Hmm.
definitely think a huge shift, just what we see in schools around cell phones and mental health, is that a lot of the bullying happens through social media, and a lot of it happens even like outside of the school hours. So schools are having to deal with so much more cyberbullying and things that go on, and all those things kind of add to the detriment of mental health as well. And there's kind of like this tension of always being connected, but not necessarily being present in your connections and relationships. And so I don't ever want to like paint the past as some nostalgic place that didn't have issues as well. But another factor to look at is that there was more, this is context dependent, but
Hmm.
more walkable, livable cities. There was less busyness overall in terms of both parents working, needing to work for the cost of living these days. And so there was more recreational time. There was more third places like to in hang out in joint areas that were
Right.
more communal in nature. And so there's a lot of these different factors here, but I know that like for the specific recent history is that COVID did lead to tons of loneliness and aloneness as well, for teenage boys, well, for teenagers all around. And so yeah, those are some factors for loneliness, but loneliness has been, I guess, on the incline for the last 30, 40 years. About the amount of close friendships that adult males have has been going down quite drastically. So that 1 in 5 adult males says they have no close friend, not a single person to
Right.
talk to about that. And then we haven't talked even about like the masculinity piece, is that a lot of these boys, like the saddest thing for my PhD research is that all these boys I talked to were like, "Oh, I would love." One of them said, "I would love to just talk to my male friends about more emotionally vulnerable things, even like once a year would be great." And they're
Right.
all telling me that they want to open up a bit more to their male friends, but none of them think that any of their other male friends want to. And so there's this sense of like, oh, I'm
That's
alone in what
devastating.
I want, but they don't realize or recognize that all these boys are wanting very similar things.